How you guys feel today? Good. Awesome. One more time. How y'all feel today? Hey guys, thank you so much for having me out today. Mike, thank you for having me out. Jay, got a chance to talk to these guys. They invited me to come out and have a little chat with you guys today, and I'm really looking forward to just talking to you, sharing my story. And yes, I'm going to actually.
The right one advances.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk to you guys about my story. I think I have a unique story about how, once upon a time, I was one of the best gymnasts in the world, and had put in all the work, and right as you're about to reach your peak, reach your goal, something happens. Catastrophic injury. Where I fell and broke my neck, was paralyzed, neck down, never supposed to walk again. Get back up, life goes on, beyond belief, fortunate, grateful, going to be a 3-time Ironman, beyond all odds. All that's really great and good, but how does that affect you? How does that make you better? So that's what I'm going to talk to you guys today. My goal is to help you to apply kind of some of the lessons I learned, some of the things I took from this catastrophic experience, and change my life, and hopefully can make you a better person, but also better at actually what you guys do today. So we're going to get into some of those details and go through it like that today. So today we're going to talk about being fueled by passion and forged in resilience. So when you hear that, what kind of jumps out at you? I think about being fueled by something, and then I look at being, I look at forged. So when you're fueled by passion, you gotta think about, first of all, what is actual passion? So you have to ask yourself, what are you truly being fueled by? What's making you get up and go to work every day? Go through life every day. What's actually motivating you? Right? That's that fuel that makes you get up and go. Is it the gluttony? Is it basically guilt that's maybe fueling you? Is it maybe money motivation that's fueling you? Is it just kind of like some maybe kind of like stumbling through, not even being fueled at all? Okay, what is really pushing you? I think an amazing one is actually passion. But with that fuel, how far are you willing to go with it? With that fuel, what are you willing to do to make yourself get up and just go beyond belief? That's where we get into passion. I really admire people that are just passionate about what they do. It's hard to be the person that's passionate, and that passion comes from when you're starting off very, very young or very early in your career. You're like, what's going to make you get up every day? And it comes from the Latin word pasio, which means suffering and enduring. It's basically got to be, you can't just have passion and then just get there overnight. It's a long, enduring thing over and over again. I can tell you that when the doctors first told me that I wasn't going to be able to walk again, I was thinking of all the years that I put into my training, all the years that I had fallen many other times before, all the times that I had done a skill and it looked great when it got to TV, but I know that I had fallen repeatedly over and over again, and all those things would help me to get to that place where I was, to being able to do these huge and big skills. And I had to rely on that. And I was thinking about, even though this doctor is saying that I'm never going to walk again, this passion that's fueled me throughout all these years has brought me to a spot where I have to really use this to actually take on one of my biggest challenges I've ever taken on. That any skill I ever did, any competition I ever did, this was the time that I had to actually use that passion from when I was a kid at 7 years old to when I was 13 and a national champion, and when until I was 16 and going on to the senior level. It was a passion that was fueling me during all that time. Now I had to put it into action. So I have a lot of respect for people that have passion, because when you think about it, passion has a lot of different characteristics. You're like, what does passion even look like? A lot of people think passion, they think like one particular thing, but there are a lot of different characteristics of passion. Like, what does it look like to you? It has certain characteristics. There's emotional characteristics like intensity. That's an easy one. When you think passion, you think intensity. There's also persistence. That means that somebody, they just won't give up, okay? There's, this persistent one is a very, very huge one, because when you're in a situation when your back is against the wall, what are you going to do? You have really no choice. And that's what I found when I was in my position, when I was literally on my back. When I was literally on my back, you have nothing else to focus on besides getting better. And you become very persistent at it. And you have all those things that you just totally laser focused on. All of a sudden, nothing else matters. Okay? Sacrifice, focus, action-oriented, consistency, meaning and purpose, creativity, resilience, inspiration, authenticity, fulfillment. All these things have to do with passion. Now, I can tell you that there's many passion igniters. I don't know what you guys see those as, but these are ways to actually get your passion going, going again. And that is reconnect with your why, setting inspiring goals, celebrating small wins, stay curious, rest and recovery, on and on and on. But I want to go back to this one where I was talking about my passion of being laid back on my back. A lot of times we get a lot of distractions in our life. We get a lot of distractions with things that just keep us off focus. And when I'm laying back on my back and I can't do anything else, I have that laser focus. No, at that time I was in college. All of a sudden, nothing else mattered as far as trying to get to the Olympics, or the test that I was studying for, or the time, what was going on with any kind of social things. It was all focused on, okay, now I have laser focus on how I'm going to get better. How am I going to be able to just walk again? How am I going to take that first step? How am I going to maybe have a family? Get married, have a family. And so a lot of times we get a lot of distractions in our life that can just take us away from our focus, take us away from our passion. And so we have to ask ourselves, what are those things in our life that are just distracting, that are keeping us from being fully focused? Being able to find what just truly drives us. We also have passion killers. Like we have the igniters, we have the killers, the ones that just drown out the passion. Like we want it, but what's taken away from that? Burnout's a huge one. When you're an elite athlete or a pro athlete, there comes a certain point when they hit burnout, or sometimes it's retirement. That's why you see athletes kind of retire and come back sometime. Because when you're young and you're first in the sport or in your career or whatever, you're fired up. But there comes a point when that can be squelched. That's called burnout. And how do you push through that burnout? It's staying consistent and reigniting what you really love at the beginning about your sport, about your career, about life. Also, another huge one that can really kill passion is fear. Fear of failure. And a lot of people say, don't fear, you shouldn't fear. But you know what? Fear is a real thing. Fear is a monster. And when I was told that I couldn't walk again, I was 20 years old at the time, top of my career, I was right in line to go to the Olympics next. At the time, I was ranked in the top 10 in the country overall. At the time, I was first on floor, first in vault, And I was still, it was at this point in gymnastics where we say, it's finally starting easy. It's finally starting to get easy. All the hard skills are finally starting to get easy and not so scary, because it's a scary sport. One of our biggest fears is falling on our head and breaking our neck in gymnastics, as you can probably understand, right? It's a crazy, you guys watch this stuff on TV, it looks crazy because it is. It's extremely hard, it's extremely difficult, and it takes years and years and years of working on the basics, and the basics, and the basics, and then you add a skill. And the basics, the basics, the basics, then you add another skill. And it becomes this masterpiece that you see on TV that looks so effortless, but it's super hard. And so I finally reached that point where I was good, but now it's getting really good. It's getting better, it's getting easier. The hard stuff is getting easy. So, when I was told that I couldn't walk, I had this natural fear. Natural. It was, well, if I can't walk again, now what? Or why is this happening to me? Why am I not able to walk? And fast forward a little bit, but when I was able to walk, later, I had the same why. Why am I able to walk? When I went to the rehab center, people had my exact same injury. When I got there, same spot, C6, C7 vertebrae, broken, paralyzed, neck down, same injury. Why were they still in the wheelchair when I left? When I walked out, why were they still there? So I went from the why am I hurt and I can't pursue my dream to now why am I the one that's able to get up and walk and go and have a full life? So had to recognize that and be thankful about that and say, okay, what's my new purpose? How am I going to apply what I have learned now? So that fear is real, but how you conquer it is about taking what you learned after all these years of work and going forward and just applying that, knowing that, and from failing over and over and over and over again, to knowing that you haven't seen this exact thing before, but you've seen something like it. You've seen, you've had success and you've fallen before over and over again, and then now that gives you confidence to move forward. And then it doesn't mean that you're not going to fail again, but it means that you know how to get out of it when you do fail, right? Also, lack of clarity can be a passion killer. Okay, toxic environments. Okay, you guys know what that's like. Everyone's been in a toxic environment before, right? Raise your hand if you have not been in a toxic environment before. Right. Everybody's been in some kind of toxic relationship, environment, but not this group. Now, of course, not this group. This group is perfect. There's no toxicity here, I can tell. Distractions are huge, okay? I'm going to show you guys a slide here in just a minute about how we can get rid of one immediately today, a distraction, okay? Over-commercialization, micromanagement, lack of progress, isolation, all these things can cause a lot of, distractions and actually, passion killers. This is the slide. Guys, you guys know what this is? It's a slide of on your phone, okay, your phone. Social media versus business productivity apps, okay? Later on, you guys can do this all for yourself. Look at how many apps are on your phone, okay? This is something that you can apply and start putting into action today, right now. Check your apps. The average American has anywhere between 60 to 90 apps on their phone. 60 to 90. And they use about 30 of those on regular. Of those, social media, this is here in America, social media is about 2 hours and 9 minutes a day, average. Business productivity, apps, 30 minutes, okay? So if you want to be more productive in your business life, skew it. If you want to beat your competition, flip that. Okay? Make it more business productivity apps, lower the social media apps, unless the social media apps are helping your business. Okay? And only you know that. Only you know which ones are actually helping you there. Okay, but these are the kind of things that as athletes we apply. These kind of stats that we look at. Okay, what is everybody else doing? All over the US and all over the world. What are they doing? We're going to look at what they're doing and try to do it better. Right? There was a time when I was training as a very young athlete, all the best gymnasts in the world were Russians. The Soviets were doing all the big skills. They were just dominating. But in the States, we weren't keeping up. So I was like, what are they doing? What are those guys doing that we're not doing? And when I was training, there was no where you could flip on Instagram and actually see it. You had to actually, we had to send somebody over there, they video it, they come back, and then they show us the video. So by the time we saw the video, they were actually on to the next skill, and they were trying to catch up with them, just like that. But what I did was I would take what the Russians did and try to do that in the States before anybody else did. So I tried to do the big skills like the Russians did in the States, and that's how I tried to give myself an edge. Because I wanted to be more fearless and more calculated than my competitors here. And then that allowed me to actually shrink the gap between the rest of the world and the United States. But that's what it takes. You have to change those numbers. All right, so we talked about passion. We could talk about that all day. I could go on and on about passion, but I want to get to forge. Because once you have the desire to do it. Okay, Kerry, I want to do it. I want to be the best salesman. I want to be best at my sport. I want to be best at it. But how do I do it? That's where you become forged. Forged is another word for just work. You have to have work. And it comes from an old French word, forgier. Okay? It's an old French word. But it's not like, it's not like passion where it's some hidden kind of like, nice thing. It's just, forge just means work. It just means that you literally just have to you just got to put in the work, okay? Like when a person thinks forge, don't you guys think of this? Don't you think about, someone putting a big old sword and an anvil and like some medieval guy just like hammering and hammering and hammering? That's what you think about when you think about being forged, right? That's what I think about, okay? But forge is the actual process. Forging is a process and there's all these things that you have to do in order to get the final product, okay? This is the meat of our existence. This is the meat of what we're doing. And you're being forged in something. You want to be forged in the right way because you're training yourself to do something every single day. This is what I get a chance to do every day. I get a chance to motivate, and my business is actually training people in health and fitness every day. Motivate and get them fit. Motivate and get them fit. And I like to try to talk to people in large groups whenever I get a chance. But we talk about this forging process over and over and over again because this is what it is. And the actual forging process is heating the metal. You take a lump of metal, that's all it is. When you first start this process, it's just a lump of metal, but it has to be the right kind of composition. It has to be carbon and iron blend, this right carbon and iron blend of metal. Okay, but it's just that. Okay, and then you have to heat it to extreme heat. Extreme heat, so much extreme where it becomes malleable, bendable. Okay, glowing red color. If it doesn't get to that, it doesn't get hot. You can't even start the process. Okay. After that, hammering and shaping. That's that anvil part they were talking about. That's that anvil with the hammer. Okay, picturing somebody just going to town. All right, you have to have the right kind of hammer. And how many hammers? How many times? Thousands. Depending on the type of sword that you're building, because we're talking about swords here. This is all kind of forging process. Talking about a sword. Depending on the type of sword, thousands, and if you're talking about like a katana Japanese sword, you're looking at a folding process on top of the hammer. A folding and a hammering, a folding and a hammering. Talking about thousands and thousands of licks just to get it in a position to where then it can be hardened. Okay? And the thing about this process that I'm talking about with the heating of the metal and the hammering, even just that part right there is going to heat it up, hammer it, cool it off. Heat it up, hammer it, cool it off. Heat it up, hammer it. How does this apply to what we're talking about? This applies to the amount of work that you have to do just to get part of the process done. The amount of work that it takes just to learn a certain skill, or to make a certain phone call, or to reach out to somebody, and it may take over and over again. And you know what? A lot of people will quit at this part because it's too hard. Most people will quit at this part because they hammer it, they hit it a couple of times, and it's not shaping up fast enough. Okay? But when I'm laying on my back, I have no choice. I don't have the option to walk away and quit. I have to keep hammering. I have to keep fighting. So we all have a choice of what kind of pressure we want to put on ourselves. How important is it for you to have this laser focus to get past process number 2? Don't wait till you have to be on your back. Just choose it. No, just choose to move forward. Choose to go through the hammering and the shaping and the folding process and the quenching. Okay? Because before you can even get to the tempering part, we got to get to this part. The tempering part, tempering means like just the balance and the strength and flexibility part where it starts to kind of start to take shape. Before we can even get there, we got to get to the hard, just the grunt work. Okay? There was a time that in my process of starting to get better, and you probably say, Kerry, how did things get better? It was a process. I didn't just wake up and was better one day. It was a 2-year process. But my injury happened in February. I was able to walk out in April of that year. But my goal was to be able to walk out of the hospital, walk out of the rehab center, which means so I took a wheelchair to the door, but I wanted to achieve my goal, a walk. So I walked from about here to that wall to get into the car. But that's as far as I could go. But when I first started getting better, it was like, because since the injury's here, everything from here down is affected, right? So what came back first was my shoulders and my fingers were able to move, but not correctly. So I had to get them to work over and over and over, just kind of trying to get those to work. But while those were still kind of working, but not well, then it kind of moved down a little bit to where it's like my left side started working, I could wiggle my toes, and this was still kind of struggling, but not all together right. And then this process of kind of working this uncomfortable, uncontrollable body was about, this whole thing took about 3 weeks. I was like, when is this right side going to start working? It wasn't working. But whatever I had, me and my therapist worked it like I approached training all those years. See, I realized during that time that I was being forged when I was 7 years old. I was being forged when I was 10 years old. I was being forged when I was training for going to the University of Minnesota for college and being on the national team for 10 years and all those falls. I was being forged for this particular time. And that mindset of how I approach training every day was helping me to get through this challenging time. Was it easy? No, not at all. I've said before, I would not wish this on my worst enemy. I remember thinking, paralysis must be pretty bad. I remember thinking that, just, I would never want to be in that situation. Then I remember when I was in it thinking, this is way worse than I could ever even imagine. Because my body felt heavy. Like, it just felt like, I felt like a prisoner in my own body. It felt like just this, it wasn't me. Gone from feeling pretty much invincible, doing anything I wanted to with my body, to having no control over my body. So now I'm applying it in a different way. The right side. I remember I was laying in my hospital bed. I was back in Houston because this all happened at the Olympic Training Center. And I was back in Houston. I'm laying back in my bed, and I was all by myself in my room with this. There was no doctors. My parents weren't around, no therapists. And I was laying back on my back, and I looked down, and I would have this thing every day. I would try to like basically look at my toe and will it. Just try to will it by brain power and everything else. And prayers, and just move, just to wiggle my toe, just to make the toe move. Because I would know then that the signals were getting from the brain down through this damaged spinal cord all the way down to my toes. One day, after doing this for weeks, I saw like a little wiggle. And I was like, okay, it must just be a phantom wiggle. Like it can't actually be wiggling. And so I was able to do it again. I was able to duplicate it over and over and over again. And I just burst out in tears, all by myself, because I knew that, I knew that I was able, that now the signals are getting down there, and I'm in a good rhythm. Things can get better from this point forward. It wasn't good, it wasn't great. I don't know how much better it's going to get, if ever, but I know that the signals are getting there. So now I'm in a place where I'm comfortable. I know how to go to work. So got with my therapist and said, we're going to work this wiggle toe till nothing else. We're going to just keep on working it. And that's what we did. We just kept on working and working and working and working. Forging and forging and forging and forging until I was able to actually get up, have a full recovery, and walk. So it's never impossible. So the last two processes are the grinding and the polishing, which is just the finishing touches. The final assemblies, where you put the handle on it, everything looks good, and it's like, that's what everybody sees. Everyone's like, oh, the beautiful sword. The beautiful finished sword. No one even cares. No one that sees it cares about how it got there. But you know how it got there. And the person that built it, the person that hid it. Because in this case, you're the one that's being forged. Life is the one that's forging you. Challenges are the one that's actually forging you. Okay, but you're the process. You're the one that's being forged. Right? Forging preventers. Lack of heat. It's not tough enough. Sometimes you can't be forged. Sometimes I got a real honest and raw thing to say to you guys. Your comfort is killing some of you. Some of you have become so comfortable that you're not able to be forged because you're so, and I'm not pointing out, I don't know you guys, but I know that somebody in here has gotten comfortable because we all get there. Oh, tomorrow. I will do this later. I will get to it. Because it's human nature, right? I have this saying with my clients and my friends, like, today, not one day. Like number 2 day, not one day. Let's do it today, not we're going to do it one day. Okay? If you guys know Rocky back in the day, he was like, he was talking to Apollo Creed. He was like, Apollo Creed, Rocky was saying to Apollo, he was like, oh, Rocky, Apollo, I'll do it tomorrow. And then Apollo Creed was like, there is no tomorrow, Rock. There is no tomorrow. Okay, so it's today. Weak fire. If you guys, again, it goes back to the fire and just not being strong enough, not being tough enough, sometimes that'll do it. If you're not putting the right pieces around you, the wrong material, if you don't have the right kind of iron, You can't have a good forging. You can't have a good sword there. No strikes. You're just not hitting enough. Like you get there, you're doing the work, but now I'm tired, I'm not gonna do it anymore. You haven't finished the process, okay? Sometimes you gotta push through those tough times, okay? You gotta just keep on pushing through. And then also if you quit too early, cooling too early, it's like quitting too early. What if you're right there, a couple more strikes, and then it'd be a beautiful sword, okay? And also improper technique. Now, I'll tell you this. There's forgers, or there's the blacksmiths, and then there's the master crafters. Okay, it takes, there's people that make swords. Then there's the master crafters. Okay, so the first time that your sword is made, or that you make a sword, you made a sword, but how does it look? And also, did it take you longer to make that sword? Was it just not as good as a master crafter? Because after you do it one time, you have a whole different perspective on how you did it. After you do it one time, now it's like, okay, man, I could have cooled it for a little bit longer. Maybe if I did it again, I would have a different glow of orange, a little bit, before I hit it. Or I would hit it a few more times, then put it in the water. You learn along the way, right? But the master crafter has done this process over and over and over and over again. After I completed my recovery, I'm an athlete. I'm trying to find ways to challenge myself. So I'm like, what is the way to bring myself back 360 from not able to be able to walk again, to then going to do something super crazy, like an Ironman competition. An Ironman is, some of you guys may have done this, but it's basically, it's a type of triathlon where you do a swim, a bike, and a run. You swim for 2.4 miles, and then you bike for 112 miles, and then you run a marathon, 26.2 miles. Okay? Now, I was not an endurance athlete. Gymnastics is not endurance, it's power, it's quick twitch. It's the total opposite of what we actually train for. That's the first thing. Second thing was I'd come back from being paralyzed. So all these things were outside of my comfort zone. And that's why I liked it. That's why I wanted to do it. Because it was the ultimate challenge. I felt like I could basically fake my way through a marathon, which means, not to say marathon isn't difficult, because it's extremely difficult, but I felt like I could minimally train and still walk and run if I needed to just to get through it. But I knew that an Ironman competition would require me to have an extreme focus and extreme training. And it was all personal. I want to have this story for myself where I can go from doctor saying you can't walk to not only can you walk, but you can do this extreme thing, a swim, bike, and run. And the training for that was intense, and it was really hard. You know what the hardest part for me was? The swimming. Because I had never swam that far before. And I had never swum that far before in open water. Okay, so are you guys familiar with what an Ironman competition is? Has anybody here done an Ironman before? All right, there's an Ironman. Got 2 Ironman. All right. Any marathoners? All right, a couple marathoners. Any half marathoners? All right, cool. 5K. Everyone's on a 5K. All right. Excellent. So we're all in the same boat. We're all families. It's something crazy. And you know what? This is the thing. The 5K may be your biggest challenge that you've ever done, and that's okay. Okay, because whatever your challenge is at that time, that is your biggest challenge. But for me, at that time, it was the Ironman. Because, I'll let you guys in on the secret. I never swum before, but I had also never done a marathon before, and I had never done a triathlon before. So what would possess me to want to do something like this? I wanted the challenge. So I gave myself 1 year to learn the sport, train for the sport, and to be able to prepare and actually complete the sport. And the process of what I loved. And process is what I want you guys to fall in love with. Not just the result, not just the medal, or when they call your name that that you're an Ironman. I want you guys to fall in love with the process, because the process is what gives you the long-lasting, way beyond the medal, way beyond the finish line. The process is what gives you that forging from now on. Because if your sword breaks, you got to do it again, and I promise you, it's going to break. You got to build another sword, and it's going to break. You got to build another sword, but you're better at it every single time you do it, and you learn. So, before you go into the video, I have a little puzzle. It's not even a puzzle. It's a question. I want you guys to read this question, and just write it down, and maybe just call it out. You got a bat and a ball. Okay. A bat and the ball cost $1.10 in total. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost?
5 cents.
First instinct.
5 cents.
5 cents. He said 5. Anybody else have a different number? All right. Have you guys done this before?
Never. It was very small.
All right. Did anybody think 10 cents? Did anybody think 10 cents? Okay. Besides our genius guy over here. All right. Right. He is correct, but we're going to fast forward because most people say 10 cents. That is a quick answer here. It's 10 cents. Okay. He's a super smart, but the average person, says 10 cents because it makes sense, right? When you just think about it. Our quick brain, says that. Okay. But if the ball were 10 cents, then that makes it 120, so it can't be that. Okay. So the ball is actually 5 cents is the correct answer. 5 and 5, 105 and 5 is 10. Okay. Now, the lesson in this is that sometimes when we just think quickly without going through the process, we get the wrong answer. Okay. Sometimes we get the right answer, but most times if we go too quick, our brains don't work that way. Unless something very basic like 1 + 1 = 2. Right? So sometimes you have to just take the process, enjoy the process, take 2 looks at it, at a very basic thing, and then you can get the right answer. Okay? And so that's kind of what that little drill was kind of about there. But time is the ultimate equalizer, guys. Time, again, this is one of the things that we say when I'm training my people, and it's kind of like our slogan, time is the ultimate equalizer. Over time, everything is equalized. The best athletes in the world, when they're young, when they slow down, a 5-year-old can beat them. Okay? I mean, over time, 1 drop of water in the same spot can do major damage over time, right? That forging process, over time, you take a lump of metal and make it a beautiful sword. Time in every incident that you can think of, it is the ultimate equalizer. Okay? So, something's going to happen. You have to decide whether you want to get better or change to get better because of what's happening. Okay? So here's me finishing my first Ironman. Okay? And when I went through this process, this long, arduous, tough process, finishing the actual Ironman was like just sprinkles. It was a cherry on top. But what I really enjoyed the whole time was the training. I really enjoyed what I learned about myself, learning a new skill of being able to swim, okay, which was had its own challenges. Learning all the parts of the bike and how to get the nutrition timed at a certain time, and I mean there's so much detail that I just really loved, and I got really good at just honing in on my craft of doing that Ironman. Now, what's funny is I really don't even consider myself like a triathlete. I feel like I've done a triathlon, and this is a big triathlon, but I don't get caught up on it. I get caught up on the process. I don't get caught up on the title of it. Okay? There's another lesson in that. It's like I want you guys to know, don't get caught up on like whatever your titles or promotion, or like, if you're getting a promotion or titles are or whatever. Get caught up in the process. It will take care of itself. You will become an Ironman, and you will be a triathlon, you will be a triathlete. But if you're caught up in the process, you don't have to worry about it. I have people ask me all the time, Kerry, how do I lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever? I tell them, don't focus on the weight. That's where you start. You focus on being healthy. You focus on doing all the things that it takes to be healthy, and then you're going to get the look. You're going to lose the 10 pounds. But if you focus on only the 10 pounds, you skip over everything. I can tell you how to lose weight really easily. I mean, some very unhealthy ways. Okay, you can just drink and smoke and not eat and lose 10 pounds. There's all kinds of different get rich. Get skinny. Pills you can take, and there's all kind of ways. But you're not going to be better for it. Okay, because you're skipping a whole important part of the process. What if you would have just gone from beginning to the end with the sword, and you had a sword you hit it one time and it breaks, okay, or it doesn't cut? It looks good, but it's not doing the function, okay? So fall in love with the process, guys. Fall in love with it. So this kind of like wraps it up. Live with passion and will with relentless purpose. Because in this case, even though you are being forged, you can actually strike back, okay? Because you as a human, as a living being, you guys can hit and hit back. So I want you guys to do both of those. Just live with passion and then just will with relentless purpose, okay? And on days it's going to be hard, and it's supposed to be. On days it's supposed to feel impossible, and it's going to be, okay? But you have something to follow. The good news is that as long as you know that that's normal to feel like that, you know that I'm being forged. I'm getting stronger because I'm going through exactly what I'm supposed to be going through, because over here, I'll be able to deal with this. I'll be able to deal with whatever's coming, but I got to get through this right now, okay? And that's what fuel with purpose, fire, energy and discipline, and hammer strikes are your challenges. Okay, so again, this is from my first one. This is me swimming, biking, and running. Okay, and I did it the first time, and I was going to be done, but then a friend of mine was like, "Hey, Kerry, will you come and do this with me?" So I did it again, and then I ended up training another group of 15 people. Then I ended up doing it a third time. So I went from only going to do it once to doing it 3 times. And every time I learned something different about myself. But only the first time when I crossed the finish line gave me that feeling of just 360, I've accomplished my goal. I basically have gone from walking to being able to do this crazy thing. It was the best feeling because it was just a personal thing. Now, I will tell you guys also that on my second Ironman, I did not complete the swim. So I had to redo it again. So again, when you think everything is all good, you can get knocked down. I did not complete the swim because as soon as I got started, I got swam over, pushed down, I was having all kind of challenges, and there's a time limit. And when I was swimming, and I got to almost to the finish of the swim, they said, "Hey, you're not going to make the time cutoff, so we'll have to pull you out." I was like, man, it's devastating. I was like, I felt like I'm in great shape. I felt like I've done everything. I trained, but on that day, some circumstances happened to where I was not able to complete. It was devastating. I was like, it should be easier the second time, not the first. So I didn't finish. I watched my friend finish, cheered him on, and then I looked for the next race that was coming up in Kentucky. I think it was like 3 months away, something like that. So then I had to kind of like reset, get ready for my race again. Fast forward, had my best race ever. My best swim, my best race, out of all 3 was on the one after I failed. Okay, so I could have quit, could have just had cheeseburger and pizza, and, and just said, I'm done with this, but it just wasn't in me. And that's, again, I believe that's the process. And I got right back in, and great race, and went on from there. So there's lessons to be learned from that. All right, so we got a video that I'm going to show you guys.
Help me out with that.
Yeah, thanks. And then this is video from back. This is not remastered. This is not updated. This is kind of sum up what I was telling you guys.
I think it's pretty remarkable.
If this thing can be lit, Kerry Huston is the one that will do it.
This has been the biggest challenge of my life.
Come on, give it everything you got. Pull it, pull it, pull it, pull it, pull it. One more. That's it. Good. And resist down.
Kerry Huston is no stranger to
You
challenges.
did 2, you couldn't do 3.
This guy ran a 10.6800 meters. He was a very gifted athlete.
For years, he has stood out, one of the nation's best in a sport that requires strength, dedication, and courage. To the casual observer, a world-class gymnastics routine can be breathtaking, an athlete performing in defiance of the laws of physics.
Beautiful. Nicely done.
But the ground Kerry Huston is now breaking is even more terrifying, and certainly no less remarkable.
In terms of recovery, he would be in the top 100%.
I've always seen Kerry as very explosive, very energetic, very involved, very athletic.
Overachievement has long been a part of his resume. A prodigy at 7, a prized recruit by 17, Kerry left his home in Spring, Texas for the University of Minnesota. A long-term but very realistic goal was the 1996 Olympics.
He's the best we've seen in the United States for a long time on floor exercise evolving. And there, it wasn't just a matter of him making an Olympic team, but he could have won, a medal.
A great talent, great expectations, but then, as Kerry says, the unexpected happened. A mishap dismounting the parallel bars at a meet on February 5th in Colorado Springs.
One of the trainers that was there at the gymnastics meet called and said that our son had been injured. He was trying to be very careful with his words because I imagine he didn't quite know how to say it to us.
I felt my body go numb. Started at my feet, and came up. First I kind of moved my arms, and then I couldn't move my arms at all. I could only move my fingers, and then I knew something was seriously wrong.
And his break was basically between the 6th and the 7th vertebra, so it was right at the base of the neck, where the vertebra dislocated one on the other, moved forward.
Surgery, then therapy, with little idea what the outcome might be. Life in a wheelchair was a possibility.
I thought that maybe a year from now, I'll start to walk a little bit,
The year, in fact, was roughly 4 weeks. Baby steps at first to relearn a skill that used to come naturally. His ongoing rehabilitation has surpassed even the most optimistic prognosis. Factors? His age, his strength, certainly his family, and that drive from within that made him such a successful gymnast.
He tried harder than any gymnast I've had in 23 years. When he went to do something, Kerry redefines trying hard.
A world that used to revolve around points on a scoreboard is now measured in inches, those daily gains toward a recovery that hardly seemed possible just 4 months ago. By tragic necessity, dreams change, and from a devastating circumstance, Kerry Huston made this dream come true.
I had faith that I would get there at some time, but I didn't think that it would be this soon. It's out of my hands, and there's nothing that I can do but pray. And God has got me there, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, thanks, guys. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.